I have a favorite quote that I hope I can remember right now. It's something like this. So, the person that you will spend the most time with in this life is yourself. So you'd better make yourself interesting. I really like that quote because so many times we rely on our circumstances, on people around us to bring us joy and help us enjoy our lives when really it's up to us. So I want to explore that in light of dating and how we relate to other people. So I was 19 when I had my first boyfriend, and in today's world, that's pretty late on in life. I feel like most people start dating a lot earlier than that, and my friends, most of them, had boyfriends before that, and I would hear all the stories. I would roll my eyes at all the romantic stuff they did, and to be honest, I was jealous. Yeah, I wanted to have a guy. I wanted to have a boyfriend, someone who cared about me, someone I could be all cute and romantic with. But when I started dating my first boyfriend, I'd wanted to date someone so badly that my whole first relationship was very emotionally driven, and I was overjoyed when he texted me, but then I was down in the dumps when something else happened. It was like an emotional roller coaster. I never cried so much in my life as that period of time. I realized later on, now thinking back, because that was about 5 years ago, but that I romanticized that entire relationship. I was more in love with the idea of being in a relationship than I was actually with the guy. And I mean, he was great, and I'm nothing against him, but me, I was in that point of life where like I wanted someone to love me so bad that everything, I put my entire identity in that relationship, and I just wanted it to be perfect, and I just like idolized it almost. And I feel like that's not just a specialist thing. I feel like that happens to a lot of people, especially as girls who are single, and we're trying to not be jealous of the other person in the relationship. We're trying to not feel lonely all the time. We just really want to find someone that can fulfill us. But the truth is, if you're not fulfilled by yourself when you're on your own, when you're single, you're not going to be fulfilled when you're in a relationship. And I know that probably doesn't make sense for everyone, because they're like, oh, well, that's all I need. If I have this relationship, I'll be great. But that's unfortunately not how it works. And there's a lot of dangers of thinking that when you have a relationship that everything will be good. And here's some of those dangers of wanting to have a relationship too much. The first one is you fall for everyone that gives you even a little attention. So when you're desperate, I know a lot of guys talk about this, like desperate women, you can get them so easily. And that's like a worldly thing to say, but honestly, that's true with us Christians too. Like, we will take anyone, the person who's not attractive to us, the person who has weird quirks, the person who is not even a Christian. We kind of just will go for it because we're lonely. We just want someone to care. And so the first guy who comes in and shows us a little bit of affection, we'll just fall for him. And I mean, that might be a natural thing because we just really desperately want someone, but you're not going to find your future husband because you're desperate. You're probably going to find someone and end up with a broken heart, or having him leave with a broken heart. So that's one of the first dangers. The second one is that you will just drop your standards or lower your standards. And whether or not you realize this, everyone has standards or should have standards when it comes to dating. Number one, as a Christian, it should be that the guy should be a Christian. And that's one of the first ones to go when you just really want to have a relationship, really want to date someone, is that, oh, well, he's not a Christian, but he's a good person, and he'll change, and he'll start following God, and it'll all be okay in the end. Well, if that's how you start out, you've already just lowered the standard. I highly doubt that that guy feels motivated to become a Christian once you guys start dating. I feel like he's gotten what he wants, and he'll just move on and just keep doing his life. And there are other standards that are really important, not just the Christianity one. Like maybe you value someone who really cares about you and wants to spend his time with you, wants to take you out, make you feel important. And this guy maybe always forgets about you, always is with his friends, doesn't care, doesn't even think to text you ever. And that is a big problem. That's not something you want to live with the rest of your life, a guy who doesn't care. And that's something that we are prone to tolerate just because we want to be in a relationship so bad. What about this one? Fantasizing about someone who does not exist. And this one, I think all of us girls, it's really easy for us to fall into this trap. Is when we watch all these romantic movies, you think, oh, there's a Ryan Gosling out there for me. Or I don't know what other actors who are like super attractive and super loving and everything. Like you just start imagining that there's some guy out there who will treat you like that and will never leave, will take care of your every need and always be understanding, always be loving. And you build up in your mind the idea of this guy that does not exist in this real world. And that hurts you because eventually some guy is going to come along who is really loving, really caring, loves the Lord, but he doesn't look the right way, or he doesn't drop everything to be with you 24/7, and your expectations won't be met, and that'll hurt your relationship. And I'm not against rom-coms, I'm not against like romantic novels, but I don't think it's good to dwell on that and just think about yourself in that. For me, the danger is comparing my relationship to that relationship. And so I don't really care to watch those, but I know it's good for a time. But anyway, just keep in mind that you don't want that to be what you start picturing in reality, because it's not a reality. But all that to say, when you're single and when you're fantasizing, when you're trying to think of like how much you want to be in a relationship, all these dangers will arise because that's going to be what you're finding your identity in. And so what I'm trying to say with this whole video is that you have to learn to be single. You have to accept singleness. You have to accept who you are. And you have to become content with that before you get into a relationship. Because once you start dating someone, yes, you'll have the butterflies. Yes, you'll have all that excitement. You'll love every moment together. But that wears off. And then the cruel reality hits and you become the same person you were before you were dating. He becomes the same person. And if you're not a person you like, if you're someone who only finds her identity in your relationship, it's gonna hurt. It's not gonna be fun. You're gonna find yourself in conflicts and your real personality will come out. And that's why when you're single, it's so much easier to work on yourself, to make yourself a better person, spend more time with God, grow in those areas where you need to grow. And that is a time for change. Not when you're in a relationship, not when you're trying to get to know someone. Those are good times too, and you can definitely grow a lot through that. But you need to accept who you are now and try to do everything you can to become a better person, to get closer to God, to fulfill your purpose before you start looking for someone else to join. Because one person is hard enough to keep up with, to stay on track with. But if you had two people who have two separate minds, two different goals in life, and you're trying to reconcile those when you don't even know what you want, that's going to be a really hard time. So I encourage you now, if you're single, that's a great thing. It's a great opportunity for you to grow and to get better and to find your purpose. And don't find your identity in relationships. Don't think that you have to have someone to be a better person. Don't think that you're stuck until you find the right guy. Do what you can with what you have. God's going to bless that. And sooner or later, when you're ready, He's going to bring the right person along.